Ever since I was a little kid, I always listened to music whenever I feel depressed or nervous, just really mad about something. And I just don't know what it was. I just felt like the outside world for me just was really tough for me in a sense because I don't know, it was very tough for me to kind of express myself in the outside world, so I hold myself in the inside. And that you should listen to me because this will help you form a positive outlet that you can use upon the daily hassles of college. Bradley Nealbean, Teresa Hackett, and Shannon E. Ross, who are all obtained a doctorate in psychology, whose publication was in 2008, said that the daily hassles of college were reported more often than the major life events. So meaning that like the daily hassles of just getting up, studying and get ready for exam was more important than was more often, such as opposed to like deaths and stuff. In my speech, I'll talk about Trinidad's Carnival. The first thing I'll talk about is its origins. The second thing I'll talk about is the music of Carnival. And the third thing I'll talk about is the carnival festivities in itself. So, Randy, so you smiling? You look like a nice young guy. Nice hair, very smiling. Surrounded by nice pretty ladies. So you look like kind of like a party type, right? So you think that Carnival has just always been about parties and stuff, right? Well, that's actually not been the case. In the 1780s, French Catholic planners in free colors of foreign masquerade balls in which that they would wear decorative masks and imitate each other. As this occurred, the West African slaves were unable to participate. So instead, that they held their own type of celebrations called Candomblé, in which it started at a harvesting festival, which they would burn sugar canes. They would burn the sugar cane light on fire. But after the emancipation of 1883, they were able to go out to the streets of Port of Spain, and on the eve of the white celebration, they reenacted the horrors of slavery. And as John K. Goose, a social studies teacher who's been awarded 5 social studies awards in 2012, publicated in 2012, said that it was as an act of black remembrance and a reminder to the whites of the horrors of slavery it inflicted on them. And thankfully, you would think that it wasn't too bad, right? They just go out, just party, just go all the fancy things like ooh. But they mocked the upperclassmen with such characters as the Jab Jab, which means the slave owners, the DM Lorraine, which means the slave owner's mistress, and other notable slaves such as the Nigia Jordis, the Police Salis, and the Moko Jambai. And it really just made them mad, just pissed them off in a sense, and they just tried to, they just tried to see it as barbaric, they slandered it, they just tried to make it look bad. That's all they tried to do. And that on the eve of February 27, 1881, Inspector Commandant Arthur Baker told one of his friends one night that, hey, I bet I can end Candomblé in one night. And so what he did was he gathered up his police task force to confront the band leaders, thus causing a riot. That lasted for 3 hours, which was called the Candomblé Riots of 1881. In this sense, that it actually uplifted the outlaw of the celebration itself, and it also made mass band leaders more precautious, and they sought out to journalists to promote, good, be responsible when presenting, when they're celebrating the Carnival. My second essential idea is its music. They say that a man records his history through a variety of ways. In the case of the Candomblé Riots, it was through violence. But Percival Board, professional dancer and performing arts director of 1973, stated that on the continent of Africa, the people south of the Sahara successfully have done this through the art forms. And for music-wise, it was Casio. And as the new slaves were brought over to Trinidad and Tobago, what they did was they tried to practice their practices for the best as they can, the best as they can remember it. But in doing so, they created a genre called calypso. Calypso is it's been derived from Casio and other European influences, and that surprisingly it influenced such genres as reggae, and even in the movie The Little Mermaid, the song Under the Sea, it was such form as a calypso. It is the voice of the people, and it's used very well for political expression. So it would be great for you, Dr. Taylor, to express your political views. And that in doing so, in the 1970s, there was a new form of music. It's called soca. Soca is a modernized form of calypso. It's an infusion of calypso along with funk and Indian music. At the time when it first started out, began, that it was very not really popularized at first. It started out in the started as a soul culture, but as the decades went by, it became more popularized, and it went from a subgenre to a more open type of music, which was used not only in the sounds of Carnival, but also in the music of Trinidad and Tobago as a whole. And African percussions, that's when it was banned in the 1880s. Half of the people fled to the countryside as they would, flee there so they can play their drums there. People who stayed in the urban areas, and tried to create new forms of drums, such as tambour bamboo drums and stick band drums, which is used in an important part of Carnival today. And I will show you. As it brings it together, in doing so, the season started in Christmas. So that's in doing so. Sorry, little technical difficulties. So in doing so, it created this new music.
You're listening to the sounds of Trinidad and Tobago with DJ.
In doing so, starting the season of Carnival started in Christmas, which everybody just kind of got so happy for, that they were able to express themselves freely, and it started in Christmas. And that this is what you hear on music radio all the time, in preparation for it. As the steel band participants and the bands who started the performers that go onto the streets, they practiced on their routines, they got their costumes ready, and ready for this. And in the weeks prior to the celebration, that Panorama is an annual steel band competition, which at the time, in the weeks prior to it was hosted by different regions such as Northern Trinidad, Southern Trinidad, Central and Tobago regions. So the finals were hosted in about Saturday. And as the weekend, one of the major competitions for the weekend was Fantastic Friday, which started out the finals of Panorama, and the International Soca Mara, which was pretty much the Grammys, like the awards and the greatest soca music of the year, in a sense. And then Saturday, Carnival Saturday, we hosted the Kitties Carnival in major competitions before the start of Carnival. On Monday, on the dawn of Monday, Joe Beck became the kickstart of Carnival. And Monday just became a more casual form of Carnival where people were just having this party and just go on the streets, just dance and for this thing, in a sense. Kind of like that, more closed down, much costumes as you would think. And the act and the performers only get a break in the Monday evening. Tuesday is where you hear more costumes, more costumes like with feathers and bikinis and beads and sense on Tuesday. And the parties non-stop throughout the day. So, in conclusion, I've talked about Trinidad's Carnival. I first started off with the origins of Carnival. Second, I talked about the music of Carnival. And third, I talked about the festivities of Carnival. Now for me, realizing now that I use that as a form of kind of an outlet, give myself to let go in a sense, that this is pretty much now what I play. Like whenever I'm doing the Burning Midnight Oil, just trying to just get away from all the stress and stuff, like just put my headphones in my music, just dance like no one's watching. Because in a sense that was my form of outlet. And this will encourage you to form a positive outlet to relieve yourself from the stress of college life. And this is my speech, and I'm happy that you heard my speech.